Don't do that. Don't do that.
All right, we are live and direct, everybody. This is Stats Over Politics, episode 11, and we're about to get into it. Got a lot of good stuff to talk about. Shaun is arriving shortly, so me and Toddy and our another guest appearance from the Emmanuel Scott Anderson is gonna have to come on here and talk that football talk. I don't know if it's gonna be great takes like I told you guys the last time he was here, but they're gonna be hot takes. They're gonna be hot takes. How we doing today, fellas? How we doing?
Oh, I'm feeling great, man. When I hopped on this broadcast, Kevin, he nonchalantly had on the Eagles conference championship sweater. So I said, let me go grab my jacket. Make sure everybody knows where we at with it and how I'm feeling about everything. So I don't care if it's 80 degrees in the house. I still got on this coat.
Just to red puffer.
Just to make sure that, I didn't like how he was just, oh, hey, man, what's up, man? Like, how's it going? Like, how's everything? He got a sweater on. I'm like, oh, hell no. I got to put this sweater on. Yeah, come on, man. We know how it is.
I'm going to go on ahead and represent, Sac State football. We in the building here today. I ain't trying to, rep my team right now. We're not in the playoffs right now, but I'm going to rep somebody who doing well. Yeah.
Well, we got Manny here for a short time, so we're just gonna go ahead and dive right on into it. So, is this a head call from NASA? Head call from NASA. The man is back.
Look who it is.
Man of the hour.
Man, the myth, the legend.
What's up, guys? I didn't realize I was joining midstream. I appreciate you guys getting us going.
Oh yeah. Toddy said he had it, and then we turned on the camera and he didn't say nothing, so I had to be the host.
Hey, I appreciate you bringing us in.
That's what's that sweater? Who's that by? That's what's the name?
Everybody.
Everybody.
That's everybody right there.
It's logic. It's logic. That's the answer you were looking for. If you think of the whitest rapper, it was Logic. That's who you're looking for.
So
anyways,
before you got on, Shaun, we were all talking about our apparel, so I think you might have missed it. So I just wanted to come on, with that good.
Shaun, I had to fight back, man. I didn't like how he was coming, man. So I was like, let me go grab my jacket real quick.
I didn't know that we bought apparel for conference championships. I thought we only did that for Super Bowls.
Oh, I got both. I'm gonna get another one on Sunday too.
Kevin, is that the type of thing that happens when your team only gets there every once in a while? Because my team's been there a couple times in the last couple of years.
No good proof for it. Memories, memorabilia.
I'm
glad to see the championship.
It was so loud.
So there's proof. I'm showing my kids this.
Yeah, Manny, you got me there. Anyways, episode number 11 of Stats Over Politics. As always, I am Shaun Holko alongside my guys, Kevin Dent, Jaevon Toddy, and joining us once again, two-time, yes, Mr. Manny Anderson. How we doing?
I'm
honored, man. I'm honored.
The insider.
He brings the football knowledge, and Kevin also did not want to. Kevin didn't want to be alone with me and Jaevon on this very episode. So we appreciate you. We appreciate you joining us. So on today's show, gentlemen, we are going to get into the week that was in the NFL Divisional round, and then we are going to get into our predictions for the conference championship games coming up this weekend. We know that Kevin and Jaevon are feeling extra excited about that. And then we are going to get to some NBA as the Sacramento Kings. They have won 3 out of their last 4 games in the last week. That was since we last talked to you all. And the Kings are now third. Count that, third in the Western Conference. And that's a statement I didn't think I was going to be saying this year. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into it. And let's start things off, gentlemen, with the first game of this past weekend. And that was the Chiefs beating the Jaguars 27-20. The storyline about this game is that Patrick Mahomes, he hurt his ankle. He didn't want to come out. He came out briefly. Chad Henne threw a touchdown pass. Mahomes came back in. Chiefs win. So, Manny, I'm going to kick things off with you because you are our guest, and we appreciate you joining us. Rather than really getting into this game, because Kevin, your Jags, they had a nice run. The season's over now. So focusing more so on the conference championship game, should Chiefs fans be concerned going forward with that injury to Patrick Mahomes?
Absolutely. It's a high ankle sprain. That is nothing to play with. Have you ever played basketball and rolled your ankle before?
Yeah.
Now imagine someone landing on it. Like, this is a complete different ball game. I will say he did a great job gutting it out, finishing the game, and doing what he was doing. You could tell the elite quarterbacks that is out there with him compared to, let's say, Dak Prescott. Ugh. But it's going to be interesting to see. I think it's going to be a rough game, honestly, because he's not healthy. His mobility is one of his greatest assets as a quarterback. Not to take away from his, his smarts and understanding of the game, but his ability to extend plays is a huge part of what makes him so great. So coming up this week is going to be rough. Adrenaline's no longer there, so we shall see. But I think the Bengals is going to come out on this one.
So, Kevin, your quarterback just recently dealt with an injury, and so now we see the same thing with Patrick Mahomes. So, Kevin, I'll leave the floor to you on this one if you want to give a eulogy for your Jacksonville Jaguars and the season that was for them, or if you want to get into the Mahomes injury.
Yeah, man, Jaguar Nation. A lot of you guys haven't seen episode 0. Only the 4 of us have, including Garry. So I was rooting from day one. Dougie P being the Eagles guy. He was the coach when we got to get these nice sweatshirts. So he's a winner. He came in from day one and changed the culture. Everyone wrote Trevor Lawrence off after the Urban Meyer fiasco. You can't really blame him. He's a rookie. He's getting new to the NFL, and then you throw Urban Meyer and all the things outside of football that they have to deal with. Just kind of brought the whole morale down. But now that they're going to Waffle House after the games, the chemistry is there. So I think they're just building, and it's crazy to think that Calvin Ridley is already on this team. So going into next year, they're adding Calvin Ridley. So this team is only going to get more explosive. Jags Nation, we'll be back next year.
That's crazy. I totally forgot about the Calvin Ridley trade. We always remember the suspension, and man, Calvin Ridley, he just got done dirty, because wasn't there that other news that came out recently where there was like another coach or another player in the NFL who was supposedly betting? Yeah, and they didn't get a year suspension like Calvin Ridley, but whatever. Anyways, Jaevon, so I want to get your thoughts on this game that was between the Jaguars and the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, going into the game, I had money on this game, so I took the Chiefs to cover the points, and Dougie P messed me out of that one, literally with like seconds left in the game.
Seconds left.
So, kind of going into the game, first drive, the Chiefs kind of just made it look easy, just going down the field and scoring pretty easily, going up 7-0. And I kind of thought that the game would be very, just very easy for the Chiefs, how easily that they scored. But then you kind of saw that the Jags battled back and kind of made it a game. And then, unfortunately, we saw, the injury from Patrick Mahomes and him kind of just limping to even try to hand the ball off, which was actually hurting them, because if you're trying to limp to hand the ball off, you're taking a lot longer than usually needed. So that, brings a lot of guys into the backfield, which can cause a lot of tackles for losses. So, seeing Patrick Mahomes virtually on one leg, and then him, kind of going out on the sidelines and I want to come out of the game. And then Andy Reid ultimately said, hey, if you're not going to go get x-rays, you're not coming back in. So he had to go do that. And then we saw Henne come in, and albeit they had like a 40, 50-yard pass interference call that kind of everyone's like, oh, it's 98 yards. It was a 98-yard drive. And they had a 40-yard run and had like a 50-yard. They had a 50-yard penalty. And then the touchdown that he threw to Travis Kelce was like 7 or 6 yards. So, I mean, okay, thank you. Henne did just enough. But, I mean, obviously, Patrick Mahomes doesn't come back in the game. Are the Chiefs coming out on top? I'm not so sure. The Chiefs did have a lot of timely turnovers. The one from Agnew at the 4-yard line when the Jags were kind of knocking on the door to go up, that kind of I thought was the nail in the coffin there. Because you kind of go in, I think the Jags would have went up if they would have scored then and there. And then, obviously, Trevor Lawrence getting the ball back, throwing another interception late. So they had 2 turnovers like in the last 2 minutes of the game. So that did not help at all. So Patrick Mahomes is able to get it done on one leg, which is probably one of the greatest playoff games we've probably seen. I think I don't remember a quarterback ever doing it because I think we could all agree if Patrick Mahomes doesn't play the majority of this, like the rest of this game, the Jags win this game. Because I don't think we have that much faith in Chad Henne, right? But Patrick Mahomes gets the job done, and we got a good one coming up in Arrowhead next week.
Yeah, it kind of gave me memories of dating back to that Browns and Chiefs playoff game from a couple years ago, because didn't Mahomes get hurt in that one as well? I think he got a concussion, and that's what knocked him out, and that's what led to the Chad Henne experience that we saw in that game. I was impressed because Chad Henne, he's a guy who didn't play at all year, but he's been in that system 4 years, and it showed in this game. But it's not going to get the job done against Joe Burrow. It will against the Jacksonville Jaguars. No offense, Kevin, but it's not going to get the job done against Joe Shiesty. And so we will get to that man in a moment. But hey, Kevin, now it's your moment. The Eagles, they absolutely throttled the Giants this past weekend, 38-7. It was not even a game. I went to the Kings game this past weekend, which just so happened to coincidentally be against the 76ers. So there was a lot of Philly fans in Doco. And at the Yard House in Doco, the Philly fans, they were going crazy on Saturday, and understandably so, as the Eagles, they absolutely handled the Giants 38-7. So, I mean, Kevin, it's about what we expected, right?
What we expected, man. I was on the way back from my honeymoon, literally on the plane, watching the game, screaming every time there's a touchdown. I'm in baggage claim, fist pumping, squatting, going crazy, man. It was a great thing to see, but we definitely came in and handled business. Everyone had a lot of questions, what was Jalen Hurts going to look like? And on that first drive, for him to take a big hit in the red zone and look for that contact showed a lot. He could have slid, he could have tried to get out of it, just fall down and whatnot, but he went for it and got the first down, put his head down. So just doing what he's been doing and showing that MVP like what we saw earlier in the season prior to the injury. But Lane Johnson came back. He missed a couple games as well. Came back and looked phenomenal. Jason Kelce, the whole offensive line coming in and doing their part. We were able to have a huge run game. Josh Sweat came back from injury. He missed a few games as well, as long with Gardner Johnson, and they all came back. And we turned Danny Dimes into Danny Nichols. He didn't know what to do. On the first down, or the first drive, you definitely see that the Giants knew that they were overmatched. They went for it on a 4th and 8, not in Eagles territory, in their midfield mark, in no man's land, and they kind of put it all down there, and we were able to get the stop. And that kind of really set the tone for the whole game, and we were just able to do what we did. James Bradbury got that pick, and saluted him, man. Thanks for getting me out of the hell, and now I'm on to finer things.
So, Jaevon, I want to know your take on this about whether if this game was more so about what the Eagles did or about what the Vikings didn't do, because the Giants look like a completely different team in the wild card round against the Vikings. But the Eagles, it was their third time playing them this season, but it was also their third time beating them. And usually when we see that third matchup, that's when things get tighter, but we saw the opposite in this game. So for you, Jaevon, was this performance more so about the Eagles dominating or what the Vikings just could not do?
Absolutely. Dating back to our previous episode, I said that the Giants would cover the spread, and they obviously did not do that. Given that it was another divisional opponent, this is the third time they've seen them, you would have thought that they would have, at least made the game somewhat close because you're familiar with them. This is, you kind of know each other's. There's no surprises going into it because you've already seen them twice. So you would think that you would know kind of each other's tendencies going into the game, and it kind of was an ass kicking. I thought that, the Giants in the previous week, we thought Danny Dimes, setting playoff records doing this. People thought it was the next coming to Michael Vick. I mean, the Vikings, for God's sake, Kevin already said that the Vikings were frauds all year long. He's mentioned that this wasn't nothing new. The Giants, don't be fooled by the Giants because this is, we didn't expect much from the Giants. But now Kevin was like, "Hey, man, we ain't the Vikings. We're not the Vikings. This is not Skull. There's going to be none of that. We're not going to see any of that." So, throughout the whole year, the Eagles have always dominated the run game, and that is something that the Giants had no answer for. The Eagles exposed Daniel Jones and kind of made him look like what he's looked like in previous history, and Saquon Barkley could not get the Eagles kind of said, "Hey, pick somebody else because Saquon Barkley's not going to be able to get the job done. If it's Richie James, if it's Isaiah Hodges, it's not going to be Saquon Barkley." And the defense kind of exposed Daniel Jones, him turning the ball over to his old teammate in James Bradbury, the gift that keeps on giving with the Eagles front office, and Howie Roseman kind of, stealing James Bradbury away from the New York Giants. And, the Eagles just looked light years ahead of the Giants in a team who we did not even think would be in this position. This was a team that we all thought would be picking top 5 in the draft, and they're somehow in the playoffs with, I'd say lower skill level players besides Saquon Barkley. But other than that, Daniel Jones doesn't really have any weapons, and I think that's kind of where the difference was. The Eagles has 6 Pro Bowlers on their team, and the Giants have 0 Pro Bowlers on their team, I think. So, the Eagles kind of just came out and just made a lot. It was David versus Goliath, and Goliath definitely won.
Yeah, Kevin, last week we were filing a missing persons report for Wes because we just haven't seen him since the Vikings lost that game. I was even talking to him on Instagram this week. He said he was going to be back. Wes, if you're watching right now, leave us a comment so I can know that you're here because we're missing you, Wes. I haven't seen you since the Vikings lost that game. Anyway, so Manny, we're gonna get into the Eagles more in our next segment when we really give our predictions and our picks for the conference championship games. So I want to ask you more so about the Giants because the Giants, they have established that Brian Daboll is their guy going forward. I think we can all agree on that. And so now the question is, do they re-sign Danny Nichols? Do they re-sign Saquon Barkley, even with an injury history? So for you, Manny, what should the Giants do moving forward? Should they keep those guys around or look elsewhere?
Personally, I think they might have to start looking elsewhere. I would say Daboll is a great coach, and obviously you can see what he can do as a coach. Because if you look at the matchup between them and the Eagles also have a great coach, but they just have a dominant team. You look at the Giants, they didn't really have they don't have any type of dominant players on there that I would even consider would start for the Eagles outside of maybe Saquon, if we're being completely honest. I think, when it comes to Danny Dimes, I think he's good for right now. But if you just look at the matchups and the quarterbacks, if you look at all the quarterbacks that's in the playoffs, the last 4, outside of, I would say, Purdy, the last 3 are top-tier quarterbacks. You need a top-tier quarterback in today's league. And so I would say for right now, be on the market. Be on the market, still looking out. There's guys that's going to be out there. Jimmy G, he's going to be available. Derek Carr is going to be available. We shall see. But if anything, I would say re-sign Saquon, just because at least you can have at least a solid run game with him. But outside of that, I don't know. I'll be on the market looking.
Fair enough. And, no matter who they have at quarterback, they got to improve the receiving options because I love Richie James Jr. when he was on the Niners, but he can't be one of your best receiving options. I mean, Isaiah Hodgins, he's become kind of their number one, but you can't have Richie James as one of your top receivers. No offense, Richie James. You're a return man.
He had a 180-yard game once. That was his career high when he was with the Niners.
Hey, that one time a couple years ago, that was some great time.
Rip Kenny Galladay, man.
All right, guys. Now, he definitely got all that money. So now, guys, let's move on to Sunday. And for me personally, this had to be the most shocking game of the weekend. I thought this was going to be the most competitive game of the weekend. but it wasn't. It definitely wasn't. And that was the Bengals beating the Bills 27-10 in Buffalo. Manny, you should know that I was the only one among the four of us, including Garry, that picked this game wrong. Kevin, Jaevon, and Garry, they were all on the Bengals bandwagon, and I was circling the wagons with the Buffalo Bills, man. I thought the Bills were going to be a team of destiny, but, those injuries just seemed to pile up too much after a while. So, Jaevon, I'm going to go to you first on this one. What were your takeaways from this game?
I mean, I wasn't shocked, not one bit. I mean, we had DeMar Hamlin in the building. It was great that he was there. And to see that, having him in the building, you would have thought, I kind of knew that he was going to be at the game, but you would have thought that would have kind of galvanized him to some degree. But I just knew, even before in the middle of the year when they were matched up and that tragedy did happen, I kind of already thought the Bengals were going to win, and they were up in that game prior to that, everything happening there. So going into Buffalo, it was a snow game. I was on Twitter saying Snow Burrow, and it was just going to be, and then ESPN picked it up, and I was like, hey, I'm the guy that started saying it first. So, Burrow is he has like 5 playoff wins in less than 12 months. And that's the same amount of playoff wins the franchise had total before he even got there. So I think what everyone was kind of, alluding to, Josh Allen being, kind of the second best quarterback. He's this, he's that. They went toe-to-toe with Mahomes last year in one of the greatest playoff games ever. And then Mahomes came back in 13 seconds, did this and did that. Oh, man, if they would have got it in overtime, they would have won. But they didn't. They lost. Burrow's beaten Mahomes several times. I just thought that they were better. Like, Jamar was all over the place. They robbed him of a touchdown. T. Higgins was making plays. Joe Mixon. I feel like the Bills abandoned the run game, and they kind of weren't able to really make things happen. I don't think that they got Stephon involved. You kind of saw him going at it with Josh Allen on the sidelines. So, just this Bills team, I feel like they got to kind of come back to earth a little bit. I think people thought they were a lot better than they were, and the Bengals, who had all of the momentum in the world, coming off of a Super Bowl loss last year, they're kind of bringing it this year. And you're saying that, we're hearing Burrow come out and say, my Super Bowl window is as long as I'm playing. And he's definitely playing like that right now. So I would definitely say that Joe Burrow is better than Josh Allen, in my opinion. We've seen it in the playoffs. I've seen him beat who everyone's saying is the best quarterback. So, I mean, Joe Burrow's playing a fine line of walking on that line of he could be the best quarterback in the world right now. He could be.
Okay, Manny, I'm going to pose that question to you. Is Joe Burrow the best quarterback in the NFL? Why or why not?
Oh, man. Burrow makes it look so easy. If we're being honest, he makes his game looks easy. Would I say he's the best quarterback right now? If they make it to the Super Bowl again, he has that argument. I still think it's Mahomes. Personally, I still think it's Mahomes. But it's tough. It's tough. I just think with this game, when they played the Bills, you can see the Bengals came in prepared. I seen it off the first drive. I'm like, oh, this was
quick.
They trouble. It is
14-0 real quick.
In the snow though. That's what's crazy.
The Bills went 3 and out twice. Their first 2 drives, like it was looking rough for them. They didn't look like they came in prepared, and I don't necessarily know if that has to do so much with the players as it does with coaching. You get rid of Dable, you could see what happens. So Bills just wasn't prepared. They wasn't prepared at all going into this game. They got 3 elite receivers with the Bengals. Then they have a solid running back. They're just way more prepared, better players. There's not much the Bills could really do. And they need to get out the snow. They need a dome.
They need to build a dome.
They need a dome.
They need a dome.
Yeah, I think a prime example of that was during the season when they had to move one of their home games to Detroit because the city of Buffalo was so under siege under the snow. The players had their various neighbors digging them out just so they could drive their vehicles to the airport. So yeah, might be a good time to get a dome in Buffalo. Kevin, but everyone who wanted that potential AFC Championship game between the Bills and the Chiefs, as Joe Burrow noted, they have to get their refunds now. And don't worry, Toddy, I saw that. You deserve your credit for Snow Burrow. I saw the ESPN graphic. But anyways, Kevin, do you think for the Bills that it came down to injuries? Because for me, maybe as the only guy who picked them to win this game, and I picked them to win the Super Bowl, so I'm wrong, egg on my face. But like, to me, it just seemed like the injuries just piled up one after another. Like we had Von Miller early in the season, also Jordan Poyer.
They missed him during this game. This was the game that Von would have excelled in. Snow, all that pass rush. They missed Von Miller this game.
Exactly. And then they were also missing a guy in Jordan Poyer. And then we know, obviously, DeMar Hamlin. But DeMar Hamlin, if I remember correctly, was a replacement for Jordan Poyer. And then DeMar Hamlin being out of the game, then we saw his replacement get hurt on Sunday. And forgive me for not knowing his name off the top of my head. I should have wrote it down. But to me, it just seemed like, and it was an avalanche of injuries, especially to the Bills secondary. So do you think that this Bills team, if healthy, could have beat the Bengals, or are the Bengals just too good?
I don't know if they could have beat the Bengals. I believe the Bengals were just really too good, but definitely the injury bug. And you guys already mentioned the guys who were injured, but I think the biggest one, besides Von Miller, was Tre'Davious White. He missed a lot of the games, a lot of the season, coming back late, trying to ramp it up early. It's just hard, to not play, especially with even a longer season. You think you'd have those games to go back going, but he wasn't able to get it back going. So I think it was the injuries, but I think it's even bigger than the injuries. It's definitely apparent that I know this is your guy, Shaun. I know Gabe is your guy, but I think they need to bring in a wide receiver too, man. It's a lot, It's
they might not even have a wide receiver one anymore after what happened on Sunday.
Hey, man, you're right, but it definitely goes to show that they need a wide receiver too. It's Diggs or Dox or nobody, or it's a run by Josh Allen. Just building up the pressure on Josh Allen and make him feel like he has to make every single play for them over and over and over is a lot. If they were able to have a consistent run game, like Toddy mentioned, with the Bengals have Joe Mixon, the Niners have CMC, the Eagles have Miles Sanders and Kenneth Gainwell, you have to be able to have a running game. You can't put all that pressure on your quarterback, because when your quarterback doesn't show up to the office, what are you going to do? So the injuries were definitely one big thing, but I definitely think even a healthy Bills team wouldn't be able to have the Bengals number.
I mean, I think we all saw that one clip of Joe Burrow warming up pregame when he just was throwing to the deep ball to the left sideline, and he did not even look to see if it was even accurate. He just did the full-on spin, and you could just tell he was locked in, and the charisma was like on 10, and it was just I would file it under things that I love to see. So Kevin may not agree, but now let's get to the main event of what was this past weekend, and that is, hey, Kevin, you brought on Kevin, you brought on Manny, so my non-biased attempts are out the window at this point. So 49ers beat the Cowboys 19-12. And it was a bit of a gritty game, and it looked like it was going to come down to field goals. Brett Maher kind of got saved by a blocked field goal that it looked like he was going to send it way left.
Yeah, I wasn't going anyway.
Yeah. So, anyways, Jaevon, I'm just going to leave the floor to you on this one, because I'm not going to say too much about it. So speak for the both of us on what you saw in this game.
Well, for starters, the game got 45.7 million viewers. I think it's the most watched matchup of the weekend and second most watched NFL playoff game record. So
America's team was playing.
People tune in. They tune in.
Yeah, the 49ers.
They tune in to watch us play. So going into the game, the Cowboys scored first. The Niners started off flat. I thought that Dan Quinn was able to kind of figure out that Purdy doesn't like rolling to his left. He had him rolling to his left like the majority of the first half. So Purdy looked a little shaky. He didn't really have time to throw. And the run game was getting stuffed. DeMarcus Lawrence, Michael Parsons, those guys are no joke. Those guys are Pro Bowlers for a reason. So early, the Dallas defense looked great. And then Dak drives down. They score. Dalton Schultz scores, and it's a 6-0 game, and Brent Maher, Jerry Jones had to go down on the field before the game even started. Like, hey man, Like, have you ever heard of the owner going onto the field to talk to the kicker like, "Hey, you fucked this up for us. You're out of here." And then I saw Trent Williams, Debo, Brandon Ayuk kind of went over there to talk shit to him and kind of get it in his head. I loved that part. So Maher was he was already in his own head before the game even started. So we saw that, Manny already said that the kick was going wide left anyway. So the block, I guess, helped him, but it still counts as a miss. But, yeah, so, the Niners did not look good in the first half, I'll say. They were kind of able to get stops, force Dak to, the defense played well in this game. I thought this game was more of a defensive-minded game. It was kind of like a chess match between Dan Quinn and DeMeco Ryans. Diamador Lenore, he's came a long way, Shaun, hasn't he? From being one of those guys that we hated in the secondary to making picks in the divisional round, and seeing Richard Sherman mention him on Twitter, and he was like, "Don't make it any bigger than it needs to be." So Diamador Lenore is definitely flourishing in this defense. To see the D line, Fred Warner making interceptions, Jimmy Ward getting after the quarterback, Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, all those guys kind of stepped up. And then we kind of had to lean on our star players. George Kittle, he's one of the best tight ends in football. He's top 2, in my opinion. Just making insane catches all over the floor. Debo Samuel being able to be effective in both ways in the run game, in the pass game as well. Brandon Ayuk doing what he does, and then Christian McCaffrey didn't have the best game, but he was a threat on third down. I think on key third down plays that Purdy was able to kind of just look for him in the slot or coming out of the backfield and ultimately scoring the touchdown. So I think the Niners figured out a way to slow down Michael Parsons, because I think that was kind of one of the key matchups. Trent Williams versus Michael Parsons. Trent Williams, I think, is probably the greatest left tackle ever to ever play the game. And he was definitely able to slow down Michael Parsons. He was kind of non-existent. Whenever he was against Trent Williams, nothing happened. So Purdy, I thought, made all of the right throws. He looked like a rookie at sometimes, obviously, because him rolling to his left, he doesn't know what the fuck to do sometimes. So he just rolls around and then throws it out of bounds. So that's a little scary. He had a couple of very near picks. The ones to Trayvon Diggs, to where he threw it to him in the bread basket, and he just went right off of his chest. So, but he also made some great throws over the middle. There's some things that we saw that I love from him, but then there's some times that he looked like a rookie. So this was by far the best defense that he played the whole entire season. And I think he's going to go up against another defense that's very good, but I think
the best.
I think this will probably be the best defense that he played all year.
Okay. So first of all, I will say thank you, Jaevon, for providing the numbers and the stats for us to prove that it wasn't just my opinion calling this the main event. The numbers don't lie. But Kevin, I know that you caught that little bit of shade that he just let off towards the end of that answer, saying that the Cowboys will be the best defense that Brock Purdy faces this season. You look like you disagreed. I mean, you did scream out that they're the number 1 defense in the NFL, so you obviously disagree. Why do you disagree? How are the Eagles better than the Cowboys?
Oh, man, the proof is in the pudding, man. 70 sacks, leading the NFL, and the second place wasn't even close. And for 55 of those to come on a 4-man rush is absolutely insane. We have Pro Bowls all on our front line. So, I mean, yeah, you have Micah Parsons, who was a generational player, but DeMarcus Lawrence is, 1-year wonder. Next year, he'll probably be bad, and then he'll have another good year the next season. So it's just the consistency. But I just feel like we have literally 2 units of our defensive line that we could interchange. So I feel like that's what makes our defense a lot better. We just have more to play out there. The Cowboys defense was really hurting the secondary, as Toddy mentioned. They just didn't make the plays. Brock Purdy had happy feet back there. I felt like I was watching a Disney movie, man. He was nervous out there, and that just goes to show that that offensive line in the Bay is looking kind of shaky, man.
Oh, okay. And so, Manny, I want to get your thoughts on this from the player perspective when it comes to Brett Maher, because we saw a teammate like Dak Prescott flipping out on the sideline and saying like, oh, he should have gone for 2, this and that, and not being openly supportive of his teammate. But then we saw plenty of other Cowboys who were supportive of him. So for you as a player dating back to your playing days, if you had a kicker in the same situation as Brett Maher, what would be your stance on it? I feel like I kind of already know based on the type of guy that you are, but what would be your approach to that?
Internally, you're like, bro, come on, man. Like, what are we talking about? How are you missing? Oh, your job is to kick. That's what you're thinking internally. Outwardly, though, you need to give the man confidence. I think that's what makes anybody great if you have confidence. And how would I put this? What's the saying? Behind every great man is a great woman. It's kind of like that in sports as well, man. You need someone to push you and help you grow you, mold you, and make sure that you're good even when you're down. You know, you need someone in your ear saying like, "Hey, man, you still got this." And it seems very cliche because it's like, bro, I'm over here missing kicks, but it's like, no, you still need someone to help build you up. But internally, though, yeah, you're like, bro, come on, what the hell are we doing? All you do is kick all day. How are you missing all of these? And the one where it got blocked, he actually got saved because, yeah, I think that was going far left. Like, bro, what's going on here? I think overall, though, with this upcoming week, Niners versus the Eagles, it's like 2 bullies from different schools coming together right now. But overall, from the looks of it, I think the Eagles is going to come out on top on this. Without Dak Prescott's turnovers, which was huge, which takes off points off the board, I don't think Eagles are going to make those type of mistakes that Dak did. And so because of that is why I think the Eagles is going to be able to come out on top. I think they're going to get a lot of pressure on Purdy. And I think Purdy is obviously a good player, but he's still young. He's still raw. Whereas the Eagles, they essentially kind of been there before. If you look at the demeanor from Jalen Hurts, I think he's just going to outperform Purdy in this one. So at the end of the day, I'm riding with the Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly.
I think the revive. Yeah, Kevin, I see that smile. There's a reason why you invited him on. But I think the revised phrase that you were looking for, Manny, is behind every Super Bowl winning team, there is a clutch kicker. Because if you don't have a clutch kicker along the way to the Super Bowl, you're just simply not going to get there. And so before we get to Jaevon and Kevin with their picks, because we kind of both know the way that they're leaning, Manny, I want to ask you, because we got your game pick, you're going to go with the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. That's fair. But I wanted to ask you, not the teams overall, but the defenses, because we keep talking about the defenses. In your opinion, which team has the better defense and why between the Eagles and the 49ers?
Overall, I would say 49ers. 49ers, that guy, his name is something. What is it? Bosa?
Nick Bosa? Nick Bosa.
The guy's name? That guy's a monster, man.
He's pretty good.
I think it's pretty good.
That guy is a monster. If you look at him, like,
just a defensive player of the year. I think it's pretty good.
I don't know if he has any type of like body fat on him. Like the guy's a monster. When it comes to even like the coaches, I think coaching wise, the 49ers have a better defensive coach. I do believe that. But
we got 2 head coaches on our team.
But the Eagles, I think what they have and what they bring from an offensive standpoint is what also helps their defense really well. Because their offense doesn't really put them in bad positions at all. And that gives a lot more confidence to a defense. Like, if you know going out that your offense is going to do what they're supposed to do and put up points, then as a defense, you feel more comfortable, you feel more loose, you feel more free being out there playing. And so if it comes down to it, like, obviously, I think the 49ers defense is phenomenal. They go crazy. But because of the Eagles as an overall team, that's why I think they're going to be able to come out on top.
All right. So, I completely agree with you there, because to me, I do think that the Eagles are the better team, admittedly. But Kevin, I got to side with the 49ers when it comes to the defense. Just that guy, he's pretty good. And also, for years, the 49ers had Navarro Bowman and Patrick Willis as their two main linebackers. And when they both were gone, a lot of us 49ers fans thought, man, it's going to be decades before we get another duo like that. Well, they may not be at that level yet, but Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw, they are pretty damn good in their own right. And so I completely agree with you there, Manny. So, Kevin, you're going to pick the Eagles. It's pretty obvious. We see the sweater. Jaevon, you're going to pick the 49ers. We see the jacket. We appreciate you guys making it easy for us. Before we get the that crinkle sound, that's perfect, like ASMR right there. Yeah, exactly. And so before we get the explanations behind the picks, I just wanted to put this out there. Our guy Garry, who is working right now, James, I saw you in the YouTube comments wondering where Gary's at. He has to work right now, but he wanted to make sure that everyone knew, because the Buccaneers got eliminated by the Cowboys, his Buccaneers pick isn't happening to the Super Bowl. So Garry says, I got the Eagles going to the bowl and the Chiefs going to the bowl too. So Garry has the Eagles and the Chiefs. So, Kevin, I want to hear your explanation first of why you're picking the Eagles to win this one.
All right, man. So we could just play a nice little game. We could call pick 'em. All right. So the Eagles and we got the Niners. So we can just go down the roster. It's quarterback, Jalen Hurts, and Mr. Irrelevant. We don't got to say his name. We know who we're going with in the quarterback matchup. O-line, we're definitely going to take the Eagles O-line. Yeah, you have Trent Williams, arguably the best left tackle to ever play the game. But as an overall unit, you have to go with the Eagles O-line. Defensive line, yeah, you have Bosa. Yes, you have Armstead, who's been in and out of the lineup due to injury, but it's hard to not choose the Eagles' defensive line in the matchup. Same with the wide receiving core. You know, we arguably have the best wide receiving core in the league. You know, the skinny Batman, and we got the swole Batman. You know, you can argue Debo and Ayuk, but Debo's been in and out of the lineup. So if we're going to go off of statistics, you have to go the Eagles. Secondary, we know who we're taking. You got to be the Eagles. You know, James Bradbury, Darius Slay, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Reed Blankenship, Marcus Epps. You know, everyone's coming in and doing their part in the secondary. But I will definitely give it to you guys. You guys definitely have the better linebacker core, like Shaun mentioned. And as much as it says to hurt me to say this, you have the better tight end. Running back, I would say we have the better running back game. Individually, you have the better running back, but as a rushing unit, because of Jalen Hurts' ability to run the ball, I would definitely say the Eagles have the better run game. I don't know why he's laughing over there. The numbers don't lie, because I'm pretty sure CMC wasn't a Pro Bowler, right? Okay.
Yeah,
so
they picked Tony Pollard.
Hey, man, but hey, you know what? Let's clap it up for CMC, because guess who gets to go to the Pro Bowl now? CMC, he made it, baby. But let me throw out some numbers out there, because you know Toddy likes to throw some numbers out there. So Jalen Hurts on 25-yard passes down the field, 50%, 798 yards to 10 touchdowns. The Niners, quote unquote, best defense is bottom 5 and passes 25 yards down the field, and that just happens to be what Jalen Hurts is the best at. You know, we were able to, you know, Toddy mentioned it earlier, but, you know, I pay attention to everything he says. The Eagles were able to take away Saquon Barkley. So, you know, we're going to throw CMC in that bucket and take him out the way. You know, I don't think there's going to be a lot of checkdowns. We're going to make him throw the ball. He's going to have happy feet back there. He's going to have 4 Pro Bowlers rushing at him the whole time. And there's no slack on either side of the field. You have, like I mentioned, you have James Bradbury, you have Darius Slay. There's nowhere to go to. It's going to be covered up. I feel like Debo's going to get locked up. He only had 4 catches for 45 yards. Micah Parsons has to come in the comments and let him know, you know, you didn't really do nothing, bro. So you can go ahead and post me in your slide, but we had it on lock. We're not the Cowboys. You know, like Manny said, we don't have Dak Prescott. We all saw the game. There was a wide open touchdown to T.Y. Hilton, but he knows. See, Fred Warner said he's throwing it to 88. We don't care. He's throwing it to 88. The Eagles have more than one receiving weapon. We have Devontae Smith. We have Quez Watkins, Dallas Goedert. We saw what he was able to do. We have Miles Sanders out of the backfield. And then let me not forget to mention Swole Batman, A.J. Brown. Everyone on Twitter is saying, you know, since Tre'Davious Ward did a good job on DK, it's just going to transvert to A.J. I know they both went to Ole Miss, but it ain't the same over here. So I think this is gonna be a good end to the story, and I'm gonna just end it with this. My name is Kevin. You're watching Disney Channel, and this is the end of the Disney movie.
Okay. I don't necessarily disagree with you, Kevin. I'm just dumbfounded by this comment right here. Julian,
Oh, good gosh.
Julian,
Oh,
Julian, I already took your hard-earned money. You don't have to be dropping nonsense in here.
I think he's talking about the Eagles.
Okay.
He's talking about the
Okay.
Eagles. Yeah.
Okay. Man, Julian, I was about to revoke your YouTube privileges.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
But they kick him out of the chat.
He talking about the Eagles.
Okay, thank you. Julian, I apologize. I am so sorry. I know you're already hurting enough, and I didn't mean to pile on top of it. I'm sorry. Thank you for clarifying, Jaevon. So, Jaevon, you were over there chuckling like you were at a comedy show. So, tell Kevin where he was wrong, because the thing I respect about Kevin is that not only does he bring his opinion, but then he brings up the numbers to back it up. The only question that I had is you mentioned, Kevin, you were like, oh, Eagles by far got the best receiving core. And then you were like, oh, I hate to admit it, you guys do have a better tight end. In today's day and age, shouldn't the tight end be included in a overall discussion when you're talking about receiving core? And then also, Kevin, you also mentioned Jalen Hurts when it came to the running game, but you don't want to mention a guy like Christian McCaffrey in the passing game, and you don't want to mention a guy like Deebo Samuel in the running game. If Jalen Hurts is going to get incorporated into this overall discussion of the run games, comparing them, then shouldn't Deebo Samuel be included in that as a running back as well? I mean, if we're going to cross over, we got to cross over on both sides. I mean, we could. I more so want to get the question answered about shouldn't a tight end be included in like overall receiving core? It's a genuine question.
Yeah, no, we can throw them in there, but I was just trying to be nice and give you guys a W. But we can throw them in there, and overall, you still lose. But I just wanted to give you guys your honor, your moment of second, your moment of shine.
So nice.
But we can talk about the run game with Deebo and CMC. But I think with that front line, it's going to be really hard for you guys to run the ball on us. I feel like we're going to take a page out of the Dallas Cowboys books. As hard as it says for me to say that, they were able to shut it down. CMC was almost irrelevant, besides that one touchdown you scored. Oh, yeah, and it was CMC, the one touchdown all game. So, Deebo ran the ball 4 times for a couple yards, so that was cute. He had the nice sparkly cleats on, so everyone knew where he was at. But, he definitely adds a different variant to that run game with Deebo. So I feel like that's also going to be a huge difficulty for the Eagles. You guys can do a lot of motions. I know you also saw the play where CMC starts off on the left side, motions, runs around Purdy 3 times, and runs out to a swing route. So it's a lot going on, and I think this game really comes down to Kyle Shanahan versus David Gannon. Who's going to be the better coordinator on that day?
Okay, so Jaevon, let it loose. Let him know how he's wrong, apparently.
Well, I think there's one thing, Shaun, that Kevin forgot to mention is his coach. His coach ain't never been there before. This is his first time. He's a deer in headlights when it comes to the playoffs. He's beating the Giants 38-7. Giants just crept into the
and
playoffs.
That the 49ers coach, he's been there now 3 out of the last 4 years to the conference championship game. He's been there. He's been there.
Sirianni being, Birdie has more playoff wins than Jalen Hurts. Let's just get that out the way. Jalen Hurts. This is Jalen Hurts' first time in the NFC Championship game.
Kevin, he brought this up last week, and I had to kick him.
He's brand new. Nick Sirianni, it's going to become a coaching clinic for Kyle Shanahan. This is what he wants. The Niners have the coaching advantage. Like I said, we have two head coaches on our team. D'Amico Ryans is getting interviewed by 10 teams, and we're trying to get to. He's like, hey man, let me finish. Let me get through the Super Bowl run real quick, and then I'm gonna holler at y'all real quick after we get through all the shenanigans. So, Kevin, I wanted to throw out a stat for you.
Let me hear it.
Since we talking about stats, the Eagles rushed for 268 yards against the Giants. I'm gonna tell you right now, that ain't happening against this number 1 defense in the entire NFL. Y'all ain't running for no damn 300 yards against the San Francisco 49ers. So you know what we're going to have to – and Jalen Hurts, albeit he threw 2 touchdowns, he threw for 150 yards. You guys, Jalen Hurts is going to have to beat us with his arm. And albeit he's had an MVP year, great year. Before he got hurt, I thought he should have won the MVP. But Jalen Hurts and this offense is reliant on the run game. Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, Kenneth Gainwell, all these guys scoring touchdowns. There's so many box scores on the Eagles running backs. You'll see one guy will have 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns from this running back. This is not going to happen. The running game is going to shrivel up because this Niners defense is going to expose the run game and figure out how to stop this run game. Now, you already mentioned that they have Devontae and A.J. Brown, 2 great receivers. Now, I think that's kind of where it's going to come down to it. Jalen Hurts hasn't faced pressure all year. These guys are going to be in his face. He's going to have to be able to get rid of the ball. You guys are probably going to have to throw a couple of screen passes because Jalen Hurts is going to be under pressure. Nick Bosa is coming for that man. He's going to be in the back. Eric Armstead is going to be in the backfield. He's going to face a ton of pressure. Now, I don't think you're going to see runs early on from this team because you guys run a lot of RPOs, and it's based off of, you know, Jalen Hurts being able to read the defense and, you know, just hand it off. And Kenneth Gainwell, like I said, all these guys just running roughshod. Miles Sanders had a great year, 1,200-yard season. But I don't think we're going to see that. I think the Niners are going to keep them under 100 yards, and that's through three running backs. And albeit, yes, Brock Purdy, he's a 7th rounder. He is Mr. Irrelevant. He's all of these things, but he's 7-0. He hasn't lost yet. And now in the last 7 games, I kind of saw a stat. These numbers, as Kevin likes to Kevin like to pull out numbers, and I like that. I'm messing him for that. So I'm gonna have to come back, and we're gonna go these last 7 starts. We're gonna go Jalen Hurts, Brock Purdy. Jalen Hurts, he's 7-0 his last 7 starts. Brock Purdy, 7-0 his last 7 starts. Yards per game, 234 to 234.9. Purdy, 64.8 completion percentage. Jalen Hurts to Brock Purdy, 66.7 completion percentage. Touchdown to interception ratios 10-3. Jalen Hurts, 14-2 of Brock Purdy. Passer rating 96.8 for Jalen Hurts. We got 116 for Brock Purdy. And then we have pass touchdowns plus rushing touchdowns, like kind of mixed together. 17 for Hurts and Brock Purdy for 16. Now, Jalen Hurts is probably going to have to use his legs here. But this run game, I just don't see them. They're not rushing for 300 yards. It's not going to happen. They're going to rush for maybe 100 yards.
280.
And Jalen Hurts is going to have to beat us with his arm. And I'll live with that. But you usually see Jalen Hurts, his attempts during a game. They usually limit his attempts to about 25, 22. He doesn't really throw the ball that much because you guys are just handing the ball off. Let everybody do their thing because you guys haven't really faced a defense like ours. And I think it's going to start to creep up to 27, 30, 33. Jalen Hurts is going to have to actually, you know, make moves happen with his he's going to have to make plays. And you guys have the players to do it. And I'm not saying that you guys don't. But I just think that this defense is the best Jalen Hurts has played all season long. And it's going to be different for them. You guys are going to be like, whoa, like, what is this? Now, usually the teams that you guys lost to were your in-division teams, the Commanders, who I thought that just, you know, being a division opponent, think shit can happen. So you guys can lose to teams like that. And then, obviously, you lost to another division opponent in the Cowboys, but obviously Jalen Hurts wasn't playing, yada, yada, yada. And another element that we haven't even talked about is Jalen Hurts isn't even healthy all the way. You saw him sliding a little bit earlier than he normally does. Then when he's running down the field, he's like, I'm not going to take that hit. When you got a Fred Warner coming at you, a Nick Bosa coming at you, it's some havoc. It's a little bit of pressure coming on after you. And I think that Jalen Hurts, I think, is a great player, but I think that this defense in the playoffs is a little bit tighter than it was in the regular season. And, you mentioned all the guys, receiving core, okay, like Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, 1,000-yard receiver, Deebo Samuel, former Pro Bowler, like George Kittle is on the cusp. He's on track to be a Hall of Fame tight end. So I'm not even going to go there with the receiving core because the Niners obviously have the better receiving core. I think
what are you basing that off of? It's not stats.
I just told you, 1,000-yard receiver, and I told you Deebo Samuel, who was hurt during the year, obviously, is a former Pro Bowler.
Politicking, Toddy. So stats over politics.
You can look it up.
Stop politicking.
I mean,
stop politicking.
You have one Pro Bowler.
Okay. Pause. Okay, so Kevin, I just want to ask genuinely, when you are basing all of your arguments, are you basing them all on this season, or are we going to talk entire careers? Because I mean, if there's a guy who's like a Pro Bowl, and I'm not saying Deebo is this guy's or whatever, but if there's a guy who's like a Pro Bowler for 5 straight years and then he has one season riddled by injuries, are we only going to reference those stats? Because I mean, just dating back to some of the arguments that you and I have gotten into, or not even arguments, but debates that we've gotten into, Kevin. Every single time you're bringing up only this season. I just want to know, do you base your arguments only on the current season, or do we look at the entire scope of things? I'm genuinely asking.
You only go off of this season. That's all the numbers that really matter. Okay. Deebo's stats from last year didn't get him to the Pro Bowl. It's all off the numbers this year. But, Toddy, I just had a question. You threw out all these numbers, and I need an honest opinion from you in front of all the world audience. Do you think Brock Purdy is better than Jalen Hurts?
No, I didn't say that. I don't say that.
But that's what the number said. But what do you think? Because you threw out a whole bunch of numbers, but I just want an opinion.
The numbers are identical. Obviously, you guys, Jalen Hurts is the better quarterback right now. This is Brock Purdy's first year. I've never said that Brock Purdy is a Mahomes. You can go back into all of the podcasts. I said all he has to do is get the ball to the guys. And what's he been doing? He's been getting the ball to the guys. Kittle, Ayuk, CMC, Deebo Samuel. We have a lot of guys on our team, and I think our guys are better than your guys. That's all I'm saying. And Purdy is able to do that. He's able to distribute. I don't think Hurts is a playmaker. I don't think Hurts is a distributor yet. I think he's more of a player. He's able to, move around. He's very athletic. His athleticism is far greater than Brock Purdy probably will ever dream of. But at the same time, I think our offense is stacked enough. Like I said, we got guys everywhere. All he has to do is just 20 yards down the line. Deebo on the reverse. Deebo's going 70 yards. So I mean, you're gonna see that. You're gonna see that on Sunday coming up, and it's gonna hurt. I think it's gonna be a great game though. Kevin, I got some money for you, man. We got to make this happen, man. We got to make this bet happen.
I'm trying to bet Kevin too, along with the 7 other people alongside you and me, Jaevon.
I guess there's a waiting list.
You could bring me in that bet.
There's a waiting list for Kevin, I guess, to try.
All right, Jaevon, you can bet with Kevin. I'll bet with Manny. There you go. Yeah. Problem solved.
There we go.
But before we leave, last time you guys played a running quarterback, it resulted in an L. Next topic.
The Eagles played the Niners last year.
Whoa, last year. This year, Toddy, we only talk about this year. Last year doesn't do anything.
It was in the link too. So I mean, it was in the link.
It wasn't in the link.
I really,
it was.
Truly.
Last year was.
I'm hoping your coach doesn't shit himself in the NFC Championship game.
That's all. Toddy was from last year. It was in San Francisco.
I know what the fuck I'm doing.
Last year's game was in San Francisco. Could have sworn am I thinking back to like several years ago? I could have sworn the 49ers played the Eagles in Philadelphia in the second week of the season. Am I thinking back to like 5 years ago or something? Could have sworn that was last year.
That was the Mullins year, wasn't it? That was 2 years ago.
No, the Mullins year was 2 years ago. The year that
that was in Philly.
The game that I jumped over, bro, and ran to the end zone.
Yeah,
you're right. That was last year.
Carson Wentz was our quarterback. I want to say Carson Wentz was our quarterback that year.
I think so. The Ayuk play happened in his rookie year, and now he's like third year now, right? So that was a couple years ago. And then the 49ers played the Eagles in Philly last year, if I remember correctly. Hey, Jaevon, that is distant history, according to Kevin. So let's not even acknowledge it because
2022 or nothing.
Because apparently anything that did not happen in 2022 or 2023, it doesn't matter anymore. Manny, we appreciate your time and we want to be respectful of your time. So I want to get you out of here on this. I want to get your take on this AFC Championship game. So we got the AFC Championship game between the Bengals and the Chiefs. So obviously this is a rematch of last year, another one taking place at Arrowhead as the Chiefs had made the AFC Championship game and have hosted 5 years in a row, which has never been done. So respect to them. But who are you going with in this one? Because there's that stat about the Chiefs hosting 5 years in a row, but then there's also the stat of the Bengals being undefeated against the Chiefs with Joe Burrow. So who are you going with in this one, Manny?
Oh man, what's that song by Drake? Going back to back. Yeah. Bengals gonna come out on top on this one right now. Them boys is hot. Joey B, that boy is hot right now. And with Mahomes' injury, it's not really looking too good for them. Even if he does end up playing, he's going to be playing hurt. And like I said, his mobility is one of his greatest assets. What essentially makes him great. Like if LeBron was to lose his athleticism, it's like, okay, well, who is LeBron in a way? So yeah, I'm going with the Bengals, man. Bengals all the way. They're going to be I would say it's going to be the Bengals and the Eagles for the Super Bowl.
All right, Manny, do you want to stick around to hear these guys' answers, or do you got to cut out? All right, for sure.
I gotta hear this.
All right, just wanted to make sure. We know you're you're on that dad life. All right, so Kevin, we got the Bengals and the Chiefs. Who are the Eagles going to play in your Super Bowl?
In Kevin's world.
Yes.
So the team that will be meeting the Eagles in Arizona, like Manny said, will have to be the Bengals. I think it's really just going to come down to not Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes' ankle. The Bengals have been playing really well on defense, and I think they're going to test that ankle early. They're going to send it. Like Manny said, we don't call him Patty Magic for nothing. He gets out of the pocket and makes plays with his legs. And like Toddy mentioned earlier in the segment, that he was struggling to get a handoff off. I feel like that's going to come off really big. And like we've been saying, the Bengals have one of the best or the best wide receiving trio core in the league. And I don't know if you guys knew this, but with Snead going down last week, the Chiefs are going to have 3 rookie corners out there. And boy, oh boy.
Oh my God. Kiss the baby.
Joey B is about to sun them dudes. And it's just going to show that we're going to have the debate that Joe's the best quarterback in the league. So I'm taking the Bengals.
Okay, so Jaevon, are you going to keep things rolling and make it 3 for 3 on the Bengals?
With this whole injury, Manny had kind of alluded to it earlier in the episode. Patrick Mahomes has a high ankle sprain. Usually, a high ankle sprain is a 3 to 4 week recovery, and Mahomes is trying to play within a week. And the line opened because I'm a betting man. The line opened for the Chiefs -3, so they believe that the Chiefs were going to win they were favored by 3 points, and the whole within the day after the Bengals beat the Bills, they ended up the line ended up going to Bengals -1, and now all of a sudden it's Bengals -2. So Vegas is telling you that the favorites are the Bengals in Cincinnati. So I gotta roll with Joe Burrow, man. Snow Burrow is just he's doing everything that you would ask for a great quarterback to do in the playoffs. Regular season this, regular season that. We see all these stats being put up by all these other quarterbacks, but what really happens when you get into win or go home situations? And all we've seen from Joe Burrow and win or go home situations is just nothing but money. So I'm getting Booby Mile vibes from the Patrick Mahomes injury. It's just, he's going to go see all of these doctors and do this. Like, I can play. But when he gets out there and when freaking Trey Hendrickson is breathing down his neck and he tries to shake him and he can't move, then what's going to happen? So if this were not the playoffs, the AFC Championship game, I doubt Mahomes is playing the next week. But albeit this isn't a winner-go-home situation, AFC Championship game, every year that Mahomes has started, they went to the AFC Championship game. He's going to play in this game. But what percent are we going to get of Patrick Mahomes? I think we're going to see like 50% of what Patrick Mahomes really can be. I think if he's healthy, even if he's healthy, we've seen Joe Burrow go into Arrowhead and beat them. Even if healthy, I still would have to pick the Bengals here. I think this Bengals team is just on a tear. This Super Bowl window that Joe Burrow has already said and that I've already kind of referenced in this podcast before is open, and it's wide open, and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Joe Mixon and all these guys are on the ride with him. So I'm working with the Bengals.
So I just want to note that so far, Jaevon and Kevin, both of their Super Bowl picks are still alive, as Jaevon has the 49ers beating the Bengals in the Super Bowl. Kevin has the Eagles beating the Bengals in the Super Bowl. And just for all the listeners to know, those picks were officially made before the playoffs started, as we predicted our way through it. So those aren't just their picks from right now, but those were their picks for the entire thing. Garry, he had the Buccaneers get eliminated, but he's still rocking with his Chiefs, who he has winning it all, but he has the Chiefs defeating the Eagles now instead. As we know, I picked the Bills to win it all. That's looking rough. And so anyways, it has been noted that Garry is rocking with the Chiefs, so it's not unanimous. And I kind of want to go with the Bengals too, but I won't. I'm going to pick the Chiefs. I'm gonna pick the Chiefs to pull off the upset, and here's why.
Betty's like, I'll see y'all later.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, he's like, oh man, y'all are politicking too much. So the reason why I'm gonna pick the Chiefs is, yes, I know that Patrick Mahomes' ankle injury is like a serious liability, and also the Bengals have just looked impressive in general. Especially last week against the Bills. But I'm going to go with the Chiefs because I just feel like that entire Chiefs team feels disrespected, kind of like the Bengals did going into this game against the Bills when everyone was talking about the neutral site game that was going to happen in Atlanta, and that game wasn't going to include the Bengals. Joe Burrow said, everybody better get their refunds, because you could tell the entire Bengals team felt disrespected. And I just feel like because of, 0-3 now that the Chiefs are against the Bengals, I just feel like they're not going to get it to 0-4, but I could be completely wrong. To me, it's more so a gut feeling that I'm going with on this one. I don't really have too much logic or reasoning.
Go use the bathroom, okay?
I know, right? It's got to get rid of that gut feeling. Apparently, it took Kevin a second to get that one. He didn't get that one. Yeah, but maybe I should. Maybe I should just step out real quick. Got to get rid of that gut feeling.
Now, Shaun, I am a betting man, so I'm going to give you some betting stats on Patrick Mahomes. This is the first time Patrick Mahomes.
Oh no! Did he? Oh no! Okay, well, for our audio only listeners, Jaevon just froze in our live stream, so he's either having. Oh wait! Oh, he's reloading. Up there he is.
He's back.
Okay.
I don't know what happened.
Jaevon, you froze right when you were about to get into it. You said the thing about Patrick Mahomes is.
Okay, so Patrick Mahomes has never been a dog at home ever in his career.
He's never played on the road in the playoffs.
Just at home. He's never dogged, none of that. So
not even in the regular season?
No, never been a dog. Never been a dog at home. So he's 7-1 as against the spread. He's 7-1 against the spread at home as a dog. So I think that Vegas still believes that there is a glimmer that Patrick Mahomes can pull something out of his ass and beat the Cincinnati Bengals at home. Now, albeit this ankle injury, it has everybody in sports media talking about this dude's ankle. What's going to happen? Is it what kind of ankle sprain it is? Just see all these media doctors and talking about ankles and everything. This is probably the most you'll hear about ankles all week long. So Patrick Mahomes is that big of a deal. Like you said, his mobility is what makes what Manny said is kind of what makes him great. The difference on the other side is Joe Burrow is able to sit in that pocket, and there's T. Higgins. Boom. Jamar Chase across the middle. Boom, Hayden Hurst across the middle. He has some mobility to him, but he's still able to sit in that pocket and kind of just deliver strikes. And, with Mahomes, he kind of does the run around. You see all these guys in Tony Romo, where there's Chris Collinsworth, where he's running. Oh, God, look at this crazy play from Patrick Mahomes. You'll see it played over and over again. But I think Burrow is just, I even still believe if Patrick Mahomes is healthy, that Burrow is going to torch that Kansas City defense, because people look at matchups when it comes from, quarterback against quarterback, when it's really, I'm going against your defense. Your defense isn't really that good, albeit they had 2 turnovers, but it was against the Jags. And, Kevin, not to, beat up on your Jags, but this is Joe Burrow we're talking about here. So I think Burrow's going to go into Arrowhead again and beat Patrick Mahomes again.
All right. Well, we shall see. Manny, we appreciate you joining us. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you on the next go-round.
All righty, fellas. Appreciate you.
My God, appreciate you.
There goes our guy, Manny, right there. We appreciate Manny for joining us on short notice. We really do. So, Kevin, I know that you weren't here last week, but you did tune into the show, obviously, and so you might have noticed something unique, and that is that with everything that happened last week, I forgot to do Shauns Pop Quiz for the first time ever last week. So you didn't even miss out on a chance to get points. So congratulations.
Love to hear
It's now time for Shauns Pop Quiz NFL Playoffs Edition. So just so everyone knows, the current tally is that Kevin and Jaevon are tied with 4. And just his luck, Garry has 3. And now he misses out on a chance to get another point. So we're going to start things off with Kevin, because you weren't here last week, so I'm going to put you on the spot right away. So I want to know, because the Cowboys, they've gone 12 consecutive playoff appearances since 1996 without reaching a conference championship game. That's something that's music to all of our ears. So I was just wondering, Kevin, what is the other NFL team that has an active double-digit streak of missing the conference championship game? There's one other team. This is a tough one, but it's because I felt like I was serving you guys up layups for a couple weeks. So I'll just repeat it one more time. The Cowboys, they have gone 12 consecutive playoff appearances dating back to 1996 without making it to a conference championship game.
Ooh.
So
can I steal this one?
I'm going to give Kevin a chance to answer it, and if he doesn't have it, then I'll give you the opportunity to steal, Jaevon. Kevin, do you have an answer?
Can I get the conference?
No.
No.
Shit.
You're the one who always says don't give help or hints. So
the longest team to not make the chance.
No. This team is not longer than the Cowboys. The Cowboys streak is at 12.
Okay.
But this other team has a double-digit streak, so 10 or more of playoff appearances without a conference championship appearance. Just take a swing in the dark at this point, because I feel like Jaevon saw the stat just like I did.
I want to go with the
5, 4, 3, 2.
Seattle Seahawks.
No, that's incorrect, because the Seahawks did play in the Super Bowl a couple times over the last decade. Oh wait, Jaevon, did you want to try and steal?
Is it the Buffalo Bills?
No, it is not the Buffalo Bills.
Damn,
okay, good. As long as he didn't get it right.
So it was another team from the AFC East.
Wow, it's the fucking Jets.
Dolphins. Oh no,
it's the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins have had. Well, Kevin, I'm not going to give you the point after.
No, I know. I'm saying that's what I was going to guess, and I was like, bro, that's what I was thinking about the Dolphins.
And see, Jaevon, if I gave him AFC, he probably would have got that one. But anyway, so the Dolphins have gone 10 consecutive playoff appearances without making it to a conference championship game, dating back to 1994. That's the only other active streak, along with the Cowboys. The Chiefs also had a double-digit streak from 1994 to 2017,
and then
until Patrick Mahomes happened, and then that's about it. Okay, so no point on that one. Now let's move on to the next one. This question was going to be for Garry, so I'll just put this out there, and I'll just say put a hand up if you got it, and I'll make sure to keep an eye on. We don't have buzzers, unfortunately. All right, so this question was for Gary, so just put a hand up if you got the answer. So, guys, Brock Purdy, he has 2 playoff wins as a rookie, joining 2 other QBs in NFL history. Who are those players? I saw Jaevon put his hand up first.
Oh, that's biased.
So I saw the shoulder motion. I was going to say I didn't see the actual hand, but I saw the shoulder go up. So Jaevon, who are the other 2 players who have won 2 playoff games as a rookie?
Ben Roethlisberger, Mark Sanchez.
That answer is incorrect.
What?
Kevin, do you have a guess on this one? So I will repeat the question one more time. So Brock Purdy has 2 playoff wins as a rookie, joining 2 other QBs in NFL history. Who are those players?
It's Big Ben and Kurt, isn't it? Kurt Warner?
No, that answer is wrong as well. So Jaevon, you got half of the answer.
Okay, wait, I got the other quarterback.
No, it's too late now. It's too late now. The answer was Joe Flacco in 2008.
Damn it!
And Mark Sanchez in 2009.
Both.
As Joe Flacco and Mark Sanchez both lost in the AFC Championship game, but they won 2 playoff games to be able to get there. So, Jaevon, you were like right there. You said Mark Sanchez.
Mark Sanchez was in there because I remember we went back to back.
Joe Flacco and Mark Sanchez.
I thought, or did they have a bye?
Okay, so now let's listen, Jaevon. This is your question. That was the toss up because it was Gary's, since I planned it out for Gary. Now, Jaevon, this is going to be your question. This is a follow up to our last question. So, there have been 2 other rookie QBs to make a conference championship game. One of them is Big Ben in 2004. They had a first round bye, so before the conference championship game, he only had the 1 playoff win. And so, anyways. There's 2 other QBs who have made conference championship games as rookies. One of them was Big Ben in 2004. Who's the other guy?
Mark Sanchez.
This is a tough one. No, Jaevon.
It's too late. Nope,
So,
he gave his answer.
Okay, well, Kevin, if you want to try to steal, I'll clarify the question one more time. Is that so? Brock Purdy has won 2 playoff games. Mark Sanchez, Joe Flacco, they've won 2 playoff games. Big Ben has made it to the AFC Championship game. There's one other rookie quarterback in NFL history who has made it to a conference championship game as a rookie. So other than Joe Flacco, Mark Sanchez, Big Ben, and Brock Purdy, there's one other guy who has made a conference championship game as a rookie quarterback. Do you have a guess, Kevin? This is a tough one. I wouldn't have gotten this one.
Okay, so let's go.
Shaun was going to say Kurt Warner.
That's what I was going to say, but I'm like, yeah. Let's go Dan Marino.
No, the answer is
it's Wyatt Tittle.
No. Another Florida team. It was Shaun King in 1999 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Never would have got that.
The only reason why I included that as a question is because Shaun King spells his name
Shaun.
Yep, that's the only reason why I did it. All right, well,
you say he played
Gary. He played for the Buccaneers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who lost to the Rams in the NFC Championship game.
That was probably the greatest show on turf game, or that
was grass.
That Rams. No, I was saying that Rams.
Yes,
was that Rams team. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. All right, guys. Well, that concludes another week of Shauns Pop Quiz, and I'm sure Gary will be happy that no one picked up a point in his absence. So now, gentlemen, we've kind of buried the lead here, but now let's get to the biggest news of today. And this is the end. This is news out of the NBA as we move on to the NBA. The biggest news out of today is that Kings general manager Monty Mcnair and assistant general manager Wes Wilcox have received contract extensions. Let's just get a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
About damn time.
About damn time. So, Toddy, speak on it. Why was it about damn time? I didn't see that. I didn't see that news.
No numbers. It just said finalizing extension. Blah, blah,
we
blah.
did not even know until going into this season that it was going to be Monty McNair's last season on his contract. We didn't even know that. So, hey, at least we found this out.
This is something Shaun has talked about, even dating back to our Shaun and Vaughn days. Like, Monty McNair hasn't even been nothing. This is the last year of his contract, and no one's talking about, hey, are you getting extended? Like, what's going on here? I mean, it's kind of obvious, right? You know, you ultimately drafted Davion Mitchell. You draft a Tyrese Halliburton and then flip Tyrese Halliburton into an all-star in Domantas Sabonis, who was already an all-star at the point. I think he's going to become an all-star again this year. It's just all of the roster moves and him being able to pick a playoff level coach in Mike Brown and just ultimately helping getting this team to third in the Western Conference. And Shaun said he never would have thought he would say those words. I don't think I ever would have said those words either. But ultimately, it's just, flipping this team and, turning it back into a winning franchise that it once was upon a time. And I think it's well-deserved. I think he's one of the better GMs in the league. And it's all kind of coming together in fruition. And he's probably going to take some more swings in the incoming days because the trade deadline is coming up pretty soon. So let's hold on to our hats there. Congratulations to Monty Mcnair.
Not only is the trade deadline coming up, but now our general manager has job security. How great is that? Amazing. So, Kevin, give us your thoughts on it.
Like Toddy mentioned, we just going off of the draft that he's got, he's bringing in 3 great players in Jaevon, Tyrese, and then we're able to add that on with Keegan Murray. Keegan Murray was the most NBA-ready prospect. The Kings have this narrative of being a pick away from a star. And he didn't let that hate his judgment. Instead of us going for a guard like everyone probably thought we would with Keegan Murray, and then we were able to make moves in the offseason to bring in Kevin Huerter, Malik Monk, and just bring in good locker room guys. And we've definitely seen this Kings team building with Mcnair, and now that the proof's in the pudding, and now it's time to eat. He gets the contract extension. We got a new coach, Mike Brown, a dark horse for Coach of the Year.
Not even a dark horse. Like, he is a prime candidate.
Yeah, it's hard, but Joe Mazzulla, it's hard.
Hey guys.
Okay, Toddy. But yeah, Joe McNair, it's a great thing to be a Kings fan. We're all from Sacramento, so we've all seen the highs and the lows of all the draft picks that people we could have picked and people that we passed up on. But now that we've gone to 3 straight drafts and hit on all 3 of those draft picks and the offseason moves that we're doing, and we're not done yet. So it's still more to be done.
Okay.
Yes,
sorry. I don't mean to cut you off here, Shaun. So speak on Monty Mcnair trade deadline. I mentioned this on last week's podcast. Do you think the Kings should go after a Kyle Kuzma?
Well, Kevin, I'm going to leave that. Yeah, I was going to say, Kevin, I'm leaving that question to you because we talked about it last week.
It depends what it would take. Kuz is playing. He's playing at a great level right now. We've only seen him progress as he started from his Utah days, and now to him being where he's at now. It just kind of really just depends on what he takes. Me, Shaun. Me, Garry. I mean, not Garry. Me, Toddy. I'm all down for a Harrison Barnes and a Rashad Holmes.
Keep Harrison. At this point, I would rather keep Harrison than get a Kyle. Like, even if it was Harrison for Kyle Kuzma straight up, I would rather keep Harrison because of the effect that he has on the locker room. Because like Mike Brown was just saying it himself in one of his post-game press conferences a couple days ago, where he was just saying, man, like, the thing about Harrison is that he has actually won, and he has won in the playoffs. And that's something that most of our team doesn't even know what the taste of it is like. So Harrison being able to just be there with that veteran leadership alongside of Delly, to me, that's much more valuable than what Kuz would bring to the team. Even with his 1 championship Kuz bringing to the team, to me, let's not forget the fact that Harrison's been kind of balling out as well. I mean, he made 5 threes in a row in the first quarter yesterday. It was amazing. Golden One Center was going crazy.
Kuz, especially with him being in a contract year, that's really hard to say because he's going to want his bag, and he's going to have to, if he was to come here, he would have to know that he's going to have to be the 3rd, 4th option. And I think Kuz is ready to take that next step in his career. So from a King standpoint, I would say no. I would definitely prefer us to go and get a backup big man. But the answer to your question is no for Kuz.
I would do it.
Okay, well, there you go. Shout out to our guy Jesse, Gary's brother, for tuning in the YouTube chat. He said you can't trade the Black Falcon. he didn't make the sound effect, but that's what we hear every time Harrison scores a bucket at Golden One Center. So I just had to do it. Anyway, so that was the big news of the day, gentlemen. but it has a lot to do on the back of the fact that, Jaevon, like you and I have both mentioned, the Kings are now third in the Western Conference as they went 3-1 in the past week since we last talked to you all, and the Kings are now 8 games over 500 at 27-19. So, Kevin, we missed you last week, so let me just hear about what your thoughts have been on the Kings over these last couple of weeks for you.
Shaun said you guys would go 2-2, by the way. Just want to put that
I did. I said they'd go 2-2. They went 3-1. Thank you for proving me wrong. Pessimism for the win.
I was right.
Before I get into this, I just want everyone to know, a couple episodes back, Kevin guaranteed HE double hockey sticks a top 6 seed. So it's all coming to fruition.
Pre-All-Star break. Just saying.
Hey, but you know, coming into it, the last few games, we just to continue to see the progression of this team. For us to go out there and get a big dub against the Lakers without Sabonis shows a lot. Everyone knows what Sabonis means to this team. He's one of our best passers, our best rebounder. He does it all. Our offense goes through Sabonis. But to have Rashawn Holmes come in with a team high 11 boards and 16 points, and the absence of Domantas Sabonis was huge for us. We've just been rolling, during that Laker game.
Some money that game.
Coach Mike came out and called out Keegan for not rebounding, and I believe that kind of sparked a fire in his butt. And the next game against OKC, he was able to go out there 29 points, 14 boards with 5 threes. I've been seeing a lot of things. The only thing that I've kind of not been it's kind of distasteful to me is the Malik Monk roller coaster we're going on. It was really early 6 man of the year hype, and now it's kind of roller coaster. But that's probably the only thing I would say that's kind of been distasteful. But the Kings have been playing well, and it's hard to miss a game because all I want to do is watch the Kings. So I'm happy where we're at.
So last night, I'm gonna harp on last night's game in particular because I was there at the Golden One Center to see the Kings beat the brakes off the Grizzlies 133-100. And yeah, no John Morant, no Steven Adams. But the thing that was so significant to me about that is I was there for Saturday's game as well against the Sixers. And against the Sixers didn't play their 2 stars, and Embiid and Harden, and the Kings still lost to that team. So it was nice for me. Too. Yeah, and it was nice. It was nice to see the Kings actually take care of business against a undermanned team in the Grizzlies last night. But I love what I saw from Trey Lyles last night against the Grizzlies. Also, Harrison Barnes, Keegan Murray, they combined to go 8 for 8 in the first quarter. The building was going nuts. We didn't think anyone was going to ever miss. It was awesome. But Kevin, I want to touch up on a guy that you just mentioned there, kind of as a low light in Malik Monk, because Malik Monk, he contributed to all facets of the game last night. He didn't just drop 33. He had 13, 9, and 8. And those 13 points were on 5 of 9 from the field. That's efficient. 9 rebounds, 8 assists. That's him contributing to every single facet of the game and even trying to get a triple-double just like Domas. So, you never know what you're going to get from Malik on a night-to-night basis, Kevin. I do agree with you on that. And Jaevon, that's why I will probably never say that he is a monster. But I think that Malik Monk is a fucking damn good player, and he showed it last night. And I love the culture that this team is building. So we kind of alluded to some of those games. So just in the last week, the Kings, they beat the Lakers 116-111 in LA on Wednesday. As Kevin noted, without Domantas Sabonis, who was out with an illness. And then the Kings came back home on Friday, beat the Thunder 118-113. They lost to the 76ers, as I mentioned, 129-127 at home on Saturday. Second night of a back-to-back, still no excuses. And then the Kings beat the Grizzlies on Monday night, 133-100. So, Jaevon, what are you liking that you're seeing from this Kings team?
The third, and
it's pretty great.
I said the Kings went 3. They went 3-1. They were really supposed to go 4-0 this week. That loss to the Sixers with no James Harden and no Embiid was like finding gold in the water, and then you kind of rub it out a little bit, and it starts to turn green. So,
not the fade gold.
So, I think that the Kings, they're playing obviously well. One of the better teams in the league. I think. I still think that they're going to be able to make moves during this to get better. And they're already third in the Western Conference. And I think they're going to make moves, as we already said. Monty Mcnair signed an extension. They're going to make moves to get better before the All-Star break. And I just wonder what those moves will be, how this team can get better when, you're you have 2 All-Stars on your team at the time in De'Aaron Fox and in Domantas Sabonis. So I just think that this team is capable, like we saw making history. I think it was franchise history last night with all the threes that were made. So this team is capable of. I think this team, if they keep playing like this, the Kings can win a playoff series.
So something that was kind of interesting that I saw mentioned on ESPN 1320's D'Lo and KC, and shout out to D'Lo, shout out to KC. We appreciate you guys. But they were kind of doing a let's make a deal kind of scenario where you had 3 separate doors. And let's say behind door number 1 is a Kings playoff series victory. Behind door number 2 is a chance to go to the NBA Finals. Ooh. Behind door number 3 is like getting Victor Wembanyama. Which would you choose? Just to spin this a little bit. So if you had the option between the Kings going to the Finals, you don't know what's going to happen when they get to the Finals. They're going to play a team from the East that's going to be pretty damn vicious, and we know that. So the Kings either go to the Finals. We don't know what happens when they get there, but the Kings either go to the Finals. They are either guaranteed to win a first-round series, or you get Wemby. Kevin, which one are you taking in that let's make a deal format if you had a choice between all 3?
See, I think the wordplay really got me. Saying we make it to the Finals, we don't win. we just get a trip. So as a 16-year fan, 16-year drought. For us to end the drought and not only make it to the playoffs, host the playoff series, but win one. But then you got Wembanyama.
Ooh, that boy is cold.
That boy's cold. And the fact that you can see him come to the 5 and supposedly get moved to the 4, just because it didn't really work in Indiana with him playing the 4, I would just have to say right now, as riding this playoff high, I would have to say door number 1 and getting us a playoff W.
Okay, Jaevon, how about you?
Who's in that Wembanyama deal? I think De'Aaron Fox is.
No, we're not trading. We just got the number 1 pick.
No, you just get the number 1 pick.
The odds are in our favor. We traded with the Spurs.
I would say, wow, with this current roster right now and them being 3rd, adding a Victor Wembanyama to this team would be groundbreaking. So. But going to the Finals would be crazy too. I mean, Jesus, the city
would be nuts.
The city would be on fire, like literally on fire. I'm gonna go with door number 3. I'm probably gonna step outside of my comfort zone, and probably most people would say, "What are you?" Because I think if you add a Victor Wembanyama to this team already, you're going to get playoff wins and victories and series, and ultimately be able to get to the Finals. So, yeah, like I said, you get Victor when you guys are going. I think if you add him to this current roster and no changes have to be made, and you can just draft him, yeah, like you guys are gonna get to everything. Door number 1 and door number 2 are like packaged in with door number 3 if that happens. So I'm gonna go with door number 3.
I'm going to go with door number 2. I'm going to say give me a trip to the NBA Finals, because I didn't say that we would lose. I didn't say we would win, but I didn't say we would lose. So, hey, man, if you give the Kings a chance, it's like it's basketball, so it's not any given Sunday, but any given day, it's a 7-game series. If they're good enough to get to the Finals, I think they're good enough to win it. So I'm going to go door number 2. But, Jesse did make a great point in our YouTube comment that if the Kings did get Victor Wembanyama and just added him to the roster that's already there, the Kings will have a great chance to make the Finals every year.
What did Damian say? I'm very curious on that.
I think Damian went with Victor, and then KC went with the guaranteed first round playoff series win.
The city would still be on fire if they win a playoff series.
Yo, I don't think fire doesn't even to put the word into it. The city's gonna go on fire just because we made it.
Or just for winning a play-in game. Yeah, that's what we thought we were gonna have.
City will go nuts.
Just think about when Patrick Beverly was. Think of Patrick Beverly, all the memes.
Yeah, exactly. And so, guys, I just wanted to bring up that hypothetical because as I was watching D'Lo and KC today, I thought it was a pretty interesting question.
I gotta check that out because I kind of want to see what they was talking about. Shaun, send me that link.
That's a good show.
Yeah, for sure. And also, shout out to Deuce and Mo as well, our former fam at the Be Heard podcast platform. Jaevon. Deuce and Mo have a new show. They're back at 11:40 with their own sports talk radio show. D'Lo and KC, they were doing their thing so well that 11:40 they had to tuck their tail between their legs and go get the talent that was out there. So congrats to Deuce and Mo. Shout out to D'Lo and KC. I got you guys with the link on that because it was pretty interesting for sure. All right, so episode 11, Stats Over Politics with my guys Jaevon and Kevin. And guys, go ahead, Jaevon. You want to say something real quick? We do have one more segment. We're not quite done yet, but please go ahead.
I kind of wanted to just sprinkle this in here. Now, the Lakers, obviously, the Kings, all this and that. The Lakers made a trade, I think so, yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. They traded
Rui Hachimura.
They traded for Rui Hachimura, and they traded Kendrick Nunn, and I think it was 3 seconds.
Yeah.
3 seconds of Kendrick Nunn. I just kind of wanted to get your guys' thoughts on. And he's expected to make his debut tomorrow, along with Anthony Davis, who is supposed to be coming back too as well. So I kind of want to get your guys' thoughts on that.
I'll just go first. I think that they kind of, like I said to you guys in our text group chat, I just think that the Lakers kind of had to settle because that was the best thing out there that they could get. Kevin did help me realize that they do still have their 2027 and 2029 first round picks that they can trade. But as of right now, if you are a general manager and the Lakers are asking you for like an all-star talent, I'm not saying Kuzma is an all-star talent, but that's likely.
He is this year. I think he is.
In the East, it's all.
I didn't know we were handing out participation ribbons for the All-Star game now. Okay. But I mean, seriously though. But anyways, I think I like Rui, but I just on that Lakers team where LeBron James is guiding the ship, I just don't know how much Rui's gonna do besides just stand out there on that 3-point line. I mean, he'll be nice on the defensive end, I guess, but it's not a wow move for me. Like, this doesn't do too much for me. Like, maybe this takes the Lakers from being 9-10 in the play-in to maybe being 7-8, but not much more than that. Kevin, how about you?
I've kind of followed Roy for a while, just being in the Pacific Northwest with Gonzaga, seeing them do their thing. But his professional career has definitely not been what everyone thought it would be. He's coming in averaging 13 points, 4 boards, and shooting 45% from the field in his last 5 games. So that's what the main thing that the Lakers lack is shooting. So he definitely brings that into it. But Shaun mentioned with LeBron riding the ship, and now LeBron officially plays the 4 a lot more now. It's going to be really hard for Roy to get on the court, especially with AD coming back, like Ty mentioned, and the rebirth of Thomas Bryant. I feel like they kind of could have went for a 3, kind of a 3-2 kind of guy instead of a 4. But, we'll see. But I definitely think that the Lakers need to just bite their lip and trade off that 2027, 2029 because those kids are in 6th grade right now. We don't know what they're going to be. We trying to win now.
Yeah, Jeannie says that she doesn't want to mortgage the future, but I think Le GM will get his way after a while. So, guys, the main, for everyone who's watching on YouTube or Twitter, they can see the little ticker at the bottom says, thoughts on other California NBA teams. Because right now, gentlemen, the Kings are not only first in the Pacific Division, but they are also first in the state of California. And it's another thing that I didn't expect to say this season, at least. So you look at where the other teams in California are. So the Kings, they're currently the number 3 seed as they sit at 27-19. The Clippers, with a win tonight against the Lakers, they are now the 5th seed at 26-24, 3 games back of the Kings. The Warriors are the 10th seed at 23-24. And the Lakers are now the 13 seed at 22-26, 6 games back of the Kings. So, Jaevon, I want to ask you first, will the Kings beat any of these teams if they match up in the playoffs? Why or why not? And tell me the teams that they could potentially beat. Because for me personally, and the reason why I asked this question is because I think the Lakers would be the only team that I could see the Kings beating in a 7-game series. Among all of these California teams, the Lakers would be the only team I could see the Kings actually beating in a 7-game series. And that's if Anthony Davis isn't there. If Anthony Davis is there,
he'll be there.
It'll that's what you think, and okay. But anyways, to me, the Lakers are the only team that the Kings could actually beat in a 7-game series among California teams. What say you?
Well, let's look at the other teams. The Clippers, I think, is kind of the team that's kind of on your guys' heels a little bit. They're on a 3-game winning streak. Kawhi and Paul George are actually playing together. And
what a concept.
And this is like, when you actually see these guys build a little bit of chemistry, they're probably the best duo, one of the best duos in the league. So just by them being healthy and being able to play against each other, I think that they would definitely pose a threat to you guys. Obviously, the Warriors is another team that's kind of you look at it and say, well, they're this and they're that. They're terrible on the road, but I feel like the Warriors last year were kind of in that same realm a little bit. Guys coming off of injuries and them kind of just getting to the playoffs and then just getting all the way to the finals. I think it'd be tough to beat the Warriors in the 7-game series. I'll say no against them. Kawhi and Paul George, if they are, it's a big if. If those guys are healthy, it would be tough for me to pick against them. And then, they're gonna beat LeBron James in the playoffs too. But playing LeBron in a 7-game series would be tough as well. But I think they would. I would have to agree with you, Shaun, that they'd probably edge out a 7-game series against the Lakers because they would have home court, I think, and that would play a huge role as well. So Jesus only knows that it's been 16 years since the Kings have had a home playoff game and have home court advantage. I think that would be huge. Just go. You don't want to come to Sacramento and play, but I mean the fans here are definitely crazy, and they're just dying for an opportunity to get into the playoffs.
And so, just to be clear, you said, did you agree with me that you think the Kings could beat the Lakers, but probably not the Clippers or the Warriors in a 7-game series? Yeah, okay. Definitely. So, some news from Dave McMenamin of ESPN. He says LA Lakers star big man Anthony Davis will return to the lineup Wednesday versus San Antonio, barring any setback during his pregame warmup. He will be back in the lineup for the first time in 5.5 weeks after suffering a fractured bone spur and stress reaction in his right foot. So, Kevin, let's just live in a hypothetical world where Anthony Davis is still healthy by the time that the playoffs come. Do the Kings beat any of their California rivals in a 7-game series if they match up in the playoffs? Why or why not?
I say we could beat any of the teams besides the Warriors. I think we can beat both of the LA teams. Like you guys mentioned, it's when people say that Kawhi and PG are playing, the jaw drops and like, oh my God, really? So I feel like that's going to play a huge role into it. Again, the injuries, throughout a 7-game series, I feel like a lot of grit and grind. They have missed a lot of games, but this is fast forward into the summertime when the playoffs would actually start. So I would definitely think the Kings would be able to edge out one of those against the Clippers. And then the Lakers, same thing with the Clippers. They have really injury prone. With AD would make it a huge difficulty. But as a LeBron fan, it's really hard for me to say this, but I definitely think the Kings can knock them out in a 7-game series. I just think that the youth that we have compared to those other two teams would be a huge outlier. But I can tell you this, I know almost for a fact that these Clippers and Lakers teams will be completely different by the playoffs with the trade deadline coming up. So as of today, I would definitely think that we can outlay the two LA teams. But the Warriors, they've had that up the street. I wouldn't even call it a rivalry. So we've seen all their success. We've seen the parades. So it would be a good storyline. We have Mike Brown and we have the insider. We have all the answers to the test. But I still think just with that championship pedigree and them doing it before, I think that would be the only team that would really give us an L in the playoff series out of the three.
And that's a great point and a great caveat that you pointed out there, Kevin, about the impending NBA trade deadline. Both LA teams, probably even the Warriors, will probably look different going into
when is
the playoffs.
February
10th. Mid-February. Oh, there you go. Kevin got it off the top of
My
the head.
mom's birthday. I'll never forget.
I love it. There you go. That's awesome. Well, happy early birthday to your mom. Yeah, gentlemen, unless you guys got anything else that you want to get off your chest, Jaevon, I know that you love jumping in at this point to get something else off your chest. Anything else, guys, before we get out of here?
Kevin, you got nothing?
I know you have something. I was going to go last, so I'll let you go.
No, you go ahead.
Yeah, he said go ahead.
So next week it's going to be an interesting episode. When the Eagles win, I want everyone to come back. We're going to have a special intro. Kevin's going to lead the intro. It might be some sad faces around, so I'll bring the energy. So just make sure you're here next Tuesday, 8:30. We're on all the socials, Instagram, Twitter. Like I said previously, we're everywhere. We're global like the pandemic, baby. So see you guys next Tuesday.
Hey, Jaevon, isn't Wes Kevin's boy, right? Yeah. Wes is Kevin's boy. Yeah. Kevin, just don't pull a Wes next week when the Eagles lose.
Disappear.
Toddy would show up to my apartment. Toddy got my address. Toddy would make sure I was on the show. Trust me. Toddy know where I live.
I'll travel state lines for him.
I just don't want to file another missing persons report. So we hope that you're here next week as well, Kevin.
He's still going to do the intro. Even after we win, he's going to do the intro. Just like he said.
I said if the Eagles win. If the Niners win, I ain't doing no damage. I'll just come in after the segment.
Yeah, hey, Jaevon, I'm going to show up at 8:35 again just so we make Kevin do the intro. No, I'm just playing. Anyways, all right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for episode number 11 of Stats Over Politics. I appreciate you all for tuning in. You know what to do. Subscribe, rate, and review as Kevin flaps his wings. Jaevon goes off the puffiness of his jacket for all of our audio-only listeners. We appreciate you all for tuning in, whether it's on Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening. You're tuned in on YouTube. We appreciate you guys. Keep tuning in. We'll be back with another banger next week. And like Kevin said, it's going to be good one way or the other. It's going to be good. So make sure to tune in next week for episode number 12 of Stats Over Politics.